What is marriage? When we are young, we think marriage is about moonlit vows and passionate romance. But once we step into the fortress of marriage, we realize that those old sayings we once ignored, fated to meet, sharing both joy and hardship, and growing old together through careful cultivation, are actually the foundation that allows marriage to withstand time. Many people treat marriage as a one-time experience. At the first sign of conflict or incompatibility, they think of replacing their partner and trying again. They forget that marriage is not about momentary passion, but about mutual responsibility and complementarity, a long companionship of shared spirit, not a temporary spark. By the time people finally understand that romance is no match for shared hardship, and that sharing a bed is no substitute for sharing a heart, their original understanding has already been worn away by daily life. All that remains is a sigh, if only we had known earlier. 1. A lasting marriage is the foundation of a stable family. Only when the marital bond endures can the family remain stable, and only then can culture be passed down through generations. This is the spirit of Chinese tradition. That is why we emphasize permanence till the end of time, rather than today's disposable mindset. Nowadays, everything seems disposable, even relationships. People come together briefly, try it out with one person, then another, separate and move on. That is not a family. What we seek is a lasting union. In fact, Chinese culture goes beyond till death do us part. We even say, may we be husband and wife for lifetimes to come. Some say, this life I loved someone, but circumstances kept us apart. That's okay. In the next life, we will marry. This may not be scientific, but life is not only science, it's also art. Human beings are made of both body and spirit. A purely physical union without spiritual connection does not last and soon turns into aversion. But when there is a spiritual bond, it can surpass physical closeness. Some couples live apart because of work or distance, yet their hearts remain connected. Their bodies may be separated, but their spirits are united. You can separate two people physically, but you cannot separate their hearts. 2. Marriage is a matter of fate. Some couples are deeply affectionate, yet their lives feel simple and repetitive. They see each other every day, and over time, monotony sets in. However, when a child is born, many couples grow closer as they unite to nurture new life together. In this sense, marriage and love are rooted in the continuity of life itself. The Chinese often say, only destined adversaries meet. How can two people fall in love, quarrel, yet never part? That is why we call them a fated pair, joyful adversaries bound by destiny. That being said, two people being 100% alike is not necessarily a good thing. I often say, if both husband and wife love washing dishes, they may end up fighting over who gets to do it, which isn't ideal. But if neither likes washing dishes, then no one will do it. It's better when each person has different strengths. Complementarity is more valuable than sameness. Marriage is a relationship of mutual indebtedness. You owe me, and I owe you. If neither owes the other anything, there is no bond. And without a bond, how could two people remain together? That bond is what holds people together. This is not superstition, it's logic. Among so many people, why do you fall for this one? Why do the two of you end up together? That invisible logic is what we call fate. 3. Sharing hardship is more precious than romance. A person should limit themselves to loving once and marrying once. When there is only one chance, you naturally become careful. When there are many chances, people tend to treat relationships casually. We can teach our children this. When you love someone, love them for life. Don't love casually. If you love the wrong person, the pain will be deep. In this way, your first love becomes your lifelong partner. So don't choose lightly and don't experiment recklessly. To love only once in a lifetime, that is the most perfect, most ideal, yet also the most difficult thing. It requires loyalty and constancy. Once you've chosen someone, you stay with them until death. This creates stability. True peace and happiness come when the heart is settled. When your heart is steady and content, your family will naturally be happy. Some may say, but isn't that unromantic? If you crave romance, watch a love movie or read a love novel. Why risk your real life for it? Remember, romance will never be as precious as sharing hardship together. Life is about enduring both joy and suffering, not chasing fleeting moments of passion. Of course, that choice is yours to make. As society changes, this kind of understanding is becoming increasingly rare. Many people find it harder to believe in long-lasting companionship. In modern society, divorce rates remain high. Young people's view of marriage is no longer filled with pure hope and beauty. Instead, it is often mixed with fear, helplessness, disappointment, and other negative emotions. The beautiful vision we once admired and longed for, holding hands and growing old together, has somehow become something almost unreachable. Therefore, in order to reduce regret in marriage and bring more happiness and fulfillment, we will focus on a few key factors. 1. A careful beginning keeps the family secure and peaceful. In modern society, sexual openness has become common, and children born out of wedlock are no longer considered unusual. This disregard for chastity, even viewing it as outdated or unreasonable, is in fact one of the major sources of disorder in human society. In the Hexagram of Attraction, Heng Gua, from the Book of Changes, the woman is above and the man below, symbolizing the man first expressing sincerity, while the woman carefully chooses with discernment. The saying, "There is nothing a woman fears more than choosing the wrong man," shows the power of selection lies with the woman. Under a value system that emphasizes lifelong commitment, such discernment must be exercised with great care. In Heng Gua, the heart is removed from the character for feeling, reminding women not to approach relationships with self-interest, especially in today's money-driven world. Instead, the heart should be placed on responsibility, reliability, and trustworthiness. Since both husband and wife equally demand exclusivity in love, they must also equally shoulder the obligation to uphold chastity. A husband has the right to feel jealous towards his wife, and a wife has the same right towards her husband, as long as such jealousy remains within reasonable limits, does not dredge up the past, and is not based on groundless suspicion. As for past lovers or ex-spouses, once emotional ties are severed after marriage, there is no need for suspicion. In the relationship between husband and wife, the essence of marriage lies in mutual fidelity. If love cannot remain exclusive, nothing else can be relied upon. In the I Ching, when we interpret the four virtues, origin, penetration, benefit, and correctness, Yuan, Heng, Li, Zheng, we emphasize chastity as a reasonable moral discipline, recognizing that different areas of life require different forms of integrity. This is especially true in marriage. Whether a family can remain peaceful and enduring depends fundamentally on this principle. 2. having no concept of divorce. People of our generation almost never divorced because the idea of divorce simply didn't exist in our minds in the first place. It is only when people have the concept of divorce that divorce becomes possible and that they actually go through with it. Do not assume that divorce is only for the young. Many people in their 60s or 70s also get divorced. I once asked an elderly person why they divorced so late in life. They replied, "In the past, it wasn't convenient to divorce. Now that the children are grown, I can finally divorce with peace of mind." So divorce is not exclusive to the young. I can say this clearly. Those who carry the idea of divorce in their minds will eventually divorce. Those who do not, no matter how much they argue, will never separate. People often ask me, "Do you and your wife argue?" I reply, if a married couple never argues, then they are just guests. Which couple never argues? The difference is this: we have the right to argue, because no matter how much we argue, we will never divorce. This is unlike some couples who divorce at the first quarrel. Some even divorce before a real argument starts. At its root, divorce comes from a lack of understanding of the I Ching, Book of Changes. When dating, one should follow the hexagram of attraction, Heng Gua, with the woman above and the man below, meaning the man pursues the woman. But after marriage, one should follow the hexagram of constancy, Heng Gua, thunder over wind. Thunder represents initiative, movement, and leadership, while wind represents gentleness, adaptability, and support. With thunder above wind, it symbolizes enduring action sustained by gentle support. The man above leads, taking responsibility and providing direction, and the woman below supports, offering flexibility and reinforcement. This is not about dominance or hierarchy, but about cooperation through complementary roles. One leads with responsibility, the other responds with support, allowing the relationship to endure over time. If love and marriage are handled according to these principles, cautious before marriage, tolerant after marriage, life will be harmonious. 3. When the husband cannot lead, he must follow the wife. The I Ching teaches both change and constancy. Traditionally, the husband leads and the wife follows. But for the wife to follow, the husband must first be capable of leading. If he cannot lead, then change becomes necessary. In such cases, the wife may lead and the husband follows. This gives rise to the modern stay-at-home husband. Since a family is formed by two people, such arrangements should be decided through sincere mutual agreement. Regardless of the arrangement, there must always be a leader and a supporter. Only then can both work together harmoniously without chaos. Traditionally, the father is strict and the mother is gentle. Fathers often work outside the home to provide for the family, spending less time with the children, while mothers stay home to care for them daily. This balance benefits the children. They respect their father, yet feel safe with their mother, allowing them to grow without constant fear. If the roles are reversed, with the gentle father and the stern mother, children who spend most of their time with a stern mother may experience prolonged pressure and live in constant tension. However, in families where the mother works outside the home and the father manages household affairs, the roles should naturally adjust. The father becomes gentle and the mother firm, so that the children feel balanced. Such role reversals in parenting are exceptions, not the norm. The same principle applies to marriage. If the husband excels in a certain domain, the wife may follow his lead in that domain. Conversely, if the wife is stronger in a particular domain, the husband should follow her lead there. Modern society places excessive emphasis on equality while gravely neglecting the importance of complementarity. Husband and wife are inherently different. Seeking complementarity is wiser than insisting on sameness. If your partner does something better than you, why not gladly support them and allow them to lead? When gender equality degenerates into constant score-keeping competition, mutual resistance, and refusal to yield, what kind of marriage does that become? 4. Let reason guide emotion. A person must have a clear goal, to date with the intention of marriage. If you enter a relationship simply because others say having a partner is enjoyable, then your motivation is impure from the very beginning. Be cautious at the start to ensure a good ending. To be honest, even caution does not always guarantee a good ending, so how could carelessness ever lead to a good result? From the very beginning, one should exercise self-discipline. Do not act recklessly, do not create trouble for yourself, and do not cause pain to others. Such pain cannot be erased and can cause serious harm to society as a whole, especially by setting a bad example for the young. Why does marriage bring suffering? Why does love so often become a whirlpool? The answer is simple. Suffering arises when emotions are not guided by reason. All misfortune, infidelity, and improper relationships stem from this imbalance, from failing to let reason guide emotion. If at the moment when emotion surges, we allow reason to take the lead, much suffering can be avoided. We believe that dating should always have marriage as a goal. Therefore, one must choose their partner carefully. Otherwise, it is better to remain friends. Friendship is pure and enduring. It does not deteriorate. Think about it. Some friendships last a lifetime. So why can't marriages do the same? Isn't it strange that couples sometimes cannot stay together as long as friends can? It shows that some couples treat each other worse than friends. If friends can support each other for life, helping one another, understanding one another, lifting each other up, and even making sacrifices, why should spouses fall apart so easily? Friends can reach such loyalty, yet spouses turn against each other, turning love into hatred. This is unnecessary, truly unnecessary. 5. True love is care that appears effortless. In the hexagram of attraction, Heng Gua, the removal of the heart from the character for feeling teaches a kind of unself-conscious affection. When love is constantly spoken aloud, it often becomes insincere. In Chinese culture, instead of saying, "I love you," we tend to keep it in our hearts. This is not because we are afraid to say it, nor because we cannot say it, but because we understand that saying it is far less meaningful than not saying it. A man who often says, "I love you," how reliable is he really? Can he truly be trusted? Who can tell? Wouldn't a woman naturally wonder if he says, "I love you" to Miss Zhang today, will he say the same to Miss Li or Miss Wang tomorrow? A woman who loves hearing "I love you" and actually believes it, her fate, without any fortune-telling, can already be predicted: a bumpy life and an unstable marriage. If such words are so easily believed, where is discernment? If not saying "I love you" makes your partner feel unloved, how can mutual understanding ever form? And if one day words can no longer be spoken, how will spouses communicate? Once "I love you" is spoken, must you say it every day? If one day you don't, will your partner suspect you no longer love them? Isn't that asking for trouble? If said every day, it becomes a formality, gradually hollow and empty. And when one day you stop saying it, the love may truly have lost its meaning. Isn't that even scarier? Many people, however, believe in such words. They may seem heartfelt, but often lack genuine care. In Chinese culture, on the other hand, we may not fully trust what people say, but we deeply trust what we feel. It may appear unspoken, yet it is full of care. Fewer words, greater sincerity of heart. Too many words lead to speech without substance. How unsettling that is. And when such words are said indiscriminately to everyone, no one believes them anymore. Isn't that tragic? Only unself-conscious affection allows one to truly sense the other's feelings. Once affection becomes deliberate and measured, personal interests and conflicts inevitably arise. 6. Two people must rely on each other for life. We should all understand this. Only when two people truly rely on each other can their marriage endure. Marriage is meant to last. Why? Because people grow old. You can't spend your entire life dating, marrying, and divorcing. Such a life is never stable. It is a cycle of endless instability. When you are young, change may feel exciting, but as you grow older, especially once you have children, how could you possibly feel at ease living that way? In some societies, when couples cannot get along, they divorce. After multiple divorces, families become extremely complicated. You might even hear things like, "Honey, come quick, your child and my child are teaming up to fight our child." So, whose child is whose? The man brings one child, the woman has one of her own, and together they have another. 3 children, all from different combinations. What kind of family is that? In Chinese society, such situations are hard to accept. When a family becomes that complicated, how can harmony exist? This is why Chinese culture has traditionally disapproved of divorce. Unlike today, when people casually say, if it doesn't work, just divorce, such thinking is far too hasty. In our culture, we encourage reconciliation, not separation. Frankly speaking, if two people truly want to divorce, they will do so anyway, so why rush to push them in that direction? As outsiders, we can only encourage peace and harmony, not division. Because once two people are married, they are meant to rely on each other for life. A husband and wife are like the tongue and the teeth, the closest of companions, yet the tongue often gets bitten by the teeth. When that happens, what do? Do you sue your teeth? Of course not. Pulling out the teeth would hurt even more. Cutting off the tongue would be worse. So there's no choice but to let them coexist and tolerate one another. A moment of discomfort soon passes. What truly sustains a marriage is long-term cooperation and mutual endurance. 7. Be more tolerant, less critical. No one is perfect. Here's something for everyone to reflect on thoughtfully. A person who can accept their partner's flaws is truly someone without flaws. A person who constantly criticizes their partner's shortcomings is the one who has serious flaws. This is the reality. If you're always finding fault with your spouse, it means there's already a knot in your heart. Why obsess over their faults? Marriage is about seeking common ground while respecting differences. It is impossible for two people to be exactly the same. By nature, our eyes look outward, so we tend to see others' faults but not our own. To make up for this natural bias, we should remind ourselves to be stricter with ourselves and more lenient with others. If we treat ourselves and others the same way, the result is often that we will end up being harsh on others and indulgent toward ourselves. For example, when someone else makes a mistake, you get angry and you call them opportunistic, thinking they're cutting corners. But when it is your turn, you do the same thing, and you call it being flexible or adapting to circumstances. That is a double standard. When your own family member or someone close to you makes a mistake, you excuse it as no choice. But when others do the same thing, you feel they're wrong, you condemn them, and you wonder how they could act that way. The same behavior, when it happens to you, you forgive yourself easily. When it happens to others, you find it hard to forgive. Mistakes do not belong to you or me. Everyone makes them. Therefore, after marriage, couples should advise and remind each other, providing necessary guidance when needed, rather than accusing or criticizing each other. Advice and accusation are not the same. Couples should advise more and criticize less. Frankly speaking, what right do we have to constantly criticize the other person? Both partners should reflect on themselves more and demand less from each other. When each person acts with initiative and self-discipline, a family gains vitality and mutual understanding. Only then can a relationship truly last. 8. Love in the present. Never dwell on the past. Each of us must learn to discipline ourselves and respect each other. Whether it is an ex-husband, ex-wife, or a former lover, you must have self-respect, self-love, and cut off all ties with third parties. If you are already married but still calling your ex every day, then perhaps you should not have divorced in the first place. Situations like this require knowing where to draw the line, and this boundary is extremely important. All emotional ties with third parties must end after marriage. There should be no further contact. Don't keep bringing up the past. Don't keep their photos and show them to your current partner. That's just asking for trouble. We must cultivate emotional maturity. Respect means not bringing up the past. If you truly respect your partner, avoid mentioning past relationships. Mention your partner's past less and bring your own past to a clear conclusion as well. Do not let past events ruin your present life, and don't be overly suspicious either. Excessive suspicion makes your partner feel disrespected. If they come home a little late and you interrogate them endlessly, asking why they were late, where they went, demanding explanations, how do you expect a relationship to survive? How can anyone live like that? A moderate level of suspicion and jealousy reflects care and concern, but too much of it is like treating your partner as a thief, and no one can tolerate that. So remember, balance is everything. Don't always blame others. As long as couples treat each other with courtesy and respect, there will be a healthy emotional distance. Being married doesn't mean you can say anything. Everyone has parts of themselves they are unwilling to share, and this should be respected. If your partner were to tell you everything, you might not even be able to handle it. If two people who have both been divorced get married again and keep talking about their pasts, what's the point of marrying each other? It's unnecessary. 9. Argue about the issue, not old grievances. Don't keep score. If someone makes a mistake today and you point it out, they can accept it. But if you bring up yesterday's mistake again, they'll feel confused and think, didn't we already talk about that? Why bring it up again today? How many times do we need to repeat this? Repeating old grievances only weakens the impact of the current issue. As a result, today's mistake becomes downplayed, which benefits no one. So remember, focus only on the current issue and not argue over who is fundamentally right or wrong. When problems arise, think about how you can make up for them, how to fix them and make things better, not constantly shifting blame outward or trying to criticize the other person into worthlessness just to feel satisfied. That is unnecessary. On one hand, restrain your temper. On the other, stay focused on the matter itself. People are simple. They usually know when they're wrong, but getting them to admit it out loud is hard. This has been my experience. Once I have explained it clearly for them to understand, and they have acknowledged their mistake in their heart, I stop talking about it. If you keep pressing, the relationship will break down and you'll only tear the relationship apart. Like cornering a dog with nowhere to go, it will turn around and bite you. Many people end up pushing their partners to that point. What's the point of that? In Chinese culture, people often feel remorse in their hearts, but rarely say it out loud. They are quick to admit mistakes internally, but their mouths often refuse to admit fault. Thus, you don't need them to verbally admit fault. As long as your partner shows genuine regret, that's enough. You should gradually stop pressing the issue. At that point, you can ease the tension by saying, "It's okay, it's all right. You've been working hard. This was just a small mistake. I know you didn't mean it." That is enough. The result is achieved. That's how you achieve real understanding. If you insist on forcing an apology, it will only become insincere, and that helps no one.